Oh boy. Oh boy system. That's what we're working with here.
Did you see a movie called Old Boy?
Have I? Oh yeah, I've seen the remake and the Korean version.
Hey, tell me what happens when I do this. Hello?
Oh, it's a little crisper.
Really?
Yeah, a little Crispin Glover there.
It shouldn't be crisper because I'm running my mixer through a Scarlett 2i into my computer.
Wait.
So,
Okay, do the other one.
hello. Okay,
Yeah,
now
it's like you're further in the background with that one. You might have to speak closer to the mic.
well, what about now?
Now it's like Crispin Glover.
Okay. Well, I'm running it through this external interface so that I can actually, because I needed it to do this for like recording FL videos. But that means
Oh, hey, someone's here. Seye Koyinu. Hey, dude. Good morning. Reed, let me show you what I can do here while before
hey,
we.
why don't you play that clip that was on TikTok?
Which clip? Hey,
One you've been talking about all week.
hold on. Get your face in camera. Oh, you got to see this because I need you to see this. I'm gonna send you this picture. Move to the right a little bit. Get a little. No. You need to see what the scene looks like so you can understand how I'm swapping here. I think we're just this is going to be a light speed jump in production quality.
Okay, great. What about this?
What? Yeah, that's good. You're good. I need to be better too. You're
Yeah, you
good.
do.
Okay, so what clip do you want me to play?
Well, why don't you play the one that was on TikTok that you've been following all week?
Oh, the viral one? The one that's going viral? Or I think it's done. I think it's done
It's
viral.
not it's not viral. It just had comments.
Bro, it has 51,000 views and like over 300 comments.
I'd say like 1 million views is viral.
Really?
Yeah, dude. 50,000. That's like breaking. That's like congratulations, you're not nothing anymore.
Wow, it feels viral to me. Especially considering what we're talking about. I didn't even know there was 50,000 people that were interested.
Um, but anyway, if I can follow up on my comment. I've got some I can clarify.
Which comment? Oh, you mean from the video?
Yeah, I will clarify my statement to put all these babies to rest.
Okay, great. Let me pull it up. Let me. All right, Bird wants to know what we're doing today. Seiya Koidu. Good morning. Will you do the intro while I pull it up, Reed? What the show
Yeah.
is?
Are you ready to go?
Yeah, we're ready. We're live right
Okay.
now.
We should go. Okay. Welcome to the Adam and Reed Morning Show, where we go deep into topics like the nature of self, awareness, reality, and other things. We aren't here to teach you anything or tell you how things are. We just like hanging out and talking about our experience. If this sounds like a good time, stick around. If this sounds like a bad time, that sounds fun too. Today we have following topics lined up. Whether we get to them or not, nobody knows. Okay, so I want to talk about the fact that sound is not found in nature. What is real, part 2, and third, something lighthearted that hasn't been determined yet, because this stuff can get heavy. That's it.
Great. That sounds good to me. I wasn't really paying attention, but because I was setting up this clip. But That sounds great. Thank you for that. Bird, you can't. Is your sound okay, Bird? Can you not hear Reed? Or you're wondering about the sound for? Yeah, let's get the sound levels right. If you can't hear us, we will adjust it. What you're seeing on the screen here. Oh, he said. I thought I meant you said sound not found in nature? Question mark with eyes like this.
Yeah, sound is not found in nature.
Buckle up. Everybody buckle up. First, where do you want to start with that or do you want to go into the TikTok clip? Because I got the clip up.
Let's play the TikTok thing, and then I'll either clarify my point or deconstruct it and realize that I'm just another foolish noob.
Okay, here we go. This is the clip from TikTok. This is the thing that's, well, according to Reed, is not going viral, but for me, it's very impressive. Here's the clip. Let's play it, and we'll see what Reed has to say.
I won't get to see it on my end.
Can you hear it?
You're muted. No, I was muted.
Could you hear that?
I turned off my output at the exact right time, so no.
Yeah, it said there's no sound coming from the clip. Dang, that's a bummer. Let's put it back as it was. So, yeah, talk a little bit about sound. I'll get this set up for us.
Yeah, sound. So this occurred to me I was taking an audio engineering class at SCAD. The teacher was really great, and I guess I was 35 at the time, and the class is full of, I don't know, everyone under the age of 25 looks like a larva to me, as far as I'm concerned. They're in a larval state, and they all look the same age. I don't know how old they were. To me, they look like they're in middle school, but I guess they were like 18, 20, 19, 20. I don't know. But I kept asking, so I'm this 35-year-old dude in the back of class asking all these strange questions. And the teacher was talking about timbre, and timbre is the quality of an instrument's sound. So, like a violin, for instance, it vibrates a string, creating vibrations in the air, and then things inside the ear vibrate, and then the brain decodes those vibrations into what we hear. So timbre is the quality of an instrument's sound, like kind of how it sounds. And so I asked the teacher, is timbre a quality, is that a physical property of the instrument, or is that purely experiential? And so what you hear, so okay, there are waves that the brain interprets as sound, but a sound is not an inherent quality of an instrument. The sound is not found in the instrument. It's not found at the point that the bow moves across the string. You can't locate that anywhere. What you can locate are waves, but the sound is something that your brain constructs on this end of the experience. It's just, maybe that means something, maybe it doesn't, but I think it's an interesting distinction to make. That's not a property of the instrument you're hearing. You're hearing a property of your mind that's being activated by an instrument. That makes sense?
Yeah, it sounds to me like you're saying basically your brain creates the sound you hear, not the instrument.
Yeah. There's no sound in the.
Yeah, there's a
I guess.
wave. You're saying there's a wave, though, right?
Yeah, there's a physical reaction, and the brain turns that into a chemical action, which turns it into an electrical reaction, which somehow makes a sound that we experience.
When a bird sings, what is it doing?
It's sending a message that can be interpreted by other birds in a way that's useful to them. And the odd part is that humans find it pleasant. That's kind of an odd thing that we find beauty or pleasantness in nature, when I guess on one level all it's doing is whatever it needs to do to survive. It's not like the bird's trying to be beautiful or has any concept of a human. But yeah, here we are, a totally different creature that can listen to its music and enjoy it, which is almost kind of perverted. It's like we're sneaking up on the bird and enjoying what it's doing. Like bird watchers, we're like, all right, I'm getting pleasure from this bird right now.
When you step on a twig and it breaks, what's produced?
I mean, I guess it's all vibrations.
And then I guess it's the brains of the organism that interprets it?
Yeah.
This is like a chicken and the egg type situation. Which came first, the brain that interprets the sound, or I guess it's really not. It's just the brains adapt themselves to interpret sound, basically.
I guess so, and then that's dependent on what the particular organism needs. We only hear sound the way we do because that's what's useful for identifying food or threats. I mean, if we could hear the trees humming all the time, it would probably drive us mad and would cover up the sound of a predator approaching.
Wow, that's it. That's a good point.
But I don't know if everything can be reduced to like what's a survival mechanism, but I think it's a good starting point. But that doesn't explain why the birds sound beautiful. Not all birds. Some sound terrible, but why they would sound good to us. Or why we like a beach, why we like looking at the beach or visiting the beach or seeing the ocean.
Well, when we see large bodies of water, when human beings do, it releases serotonin or dopamine or something.
Yeah, so why would we have a programmed response to that? Is that just a way of driving us towards water sources? You'd think we'd just live next to them because we were thirsty, but we need this like extra pleasure level to not die in the desert. Like we're, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I would just imagine that we would wake up. We'd want to wake up near a body of water that would make us feel good, and if we moved away from it, we would want to have that feeling again eventually. But let's move to I couldn't figure out the how to get this clip to play for the audio for all of us. So can I just summarize it and then we can talk about it?
Sure.
Okay, so in this clip, there's a couple. I've actually got a few comments saved of people that want some clarity on what you're talking about in this clip.
Can you throw some comments up on the screen?
If I was more prepared, I could have.
Oh man, okay.
I'm gonna have to read them to you. If I was a real DJ, I could have. But no. So this clip is on TikTok. It didn't go viral 2 days ago, but there's a shitload of comments on it. People are curious, and I want to see if Reed can clarify some things. In the clip, basically, what Reed says is, real, capital R, real, is anything that does not take thought to sustain. That's it. That's all he really says in the video, and I'm just like, it blew my mind, so I'm cracking up because it was cool to hear him say it. And that's it.
I read some. Yeah, so people decided to either agree or disagree and then debate amongst themselves, which is interesting. But I read a few of the comments, and my favorite one was the one someone said, that sounds like a pretty good definition. That was my favorite comment.
Who is the one that liked that?
I don't know. There was someone that just kind of like plainly agreed and said, "Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good." And I enjoyed that one the most. The dissenters or disagreeers. Um,
Why?
I
I
left.
thought that's what you wanted. You wanted someone to challenge your ideas. You wanted to get.
Well, that doesn't mean I don't like it when someone agrees with me. Yeah, yeah, I like being challenged so I can know if I'm totally off base or wrong. I want someone to point out the flaws in everything I'm saying.
I'm gonna hold up a picture to the screen that you won't be able to see. But I pulled this up yesterday night before I went to bed. Okay,
The, the
it's an
moment the moment you are disturbed by insult or pleased by praise, you are still a slave. Uh, Osho is, yeah. Anthony DeMello says that too.
just thought it was
But
it was oddly appropriate based on what you were saying.
I don't know if I would agree with this comment though,
By the way,
because
if you
that's saying
get for y'all that couldn't read it because it was backwards, it's Osho, and it's a quote from Osho, and he says, "The moment you are disturbed by insult or pleased by praise, you are still a slave."
yeah. So I would disagree with that because that implies that you're free. Your being free is dependent on your mind not having reactions to things, which is utterly absurd. It's like he's adding a condition to freedom, which like it implies slavery in what he's talking about.
You're right. I think you're right, dude.
So
That's
Osho's
great.
wrong.
Osho was wrong. All right, go back to so explain yourself with the real thing, okay? Oh, this is a good point, by the way. Bird makes brain dead is true freedom. Then, well, actually, he's agreeing with your point. I think you would say.
Yeah, no. I mean, but so it's all contextual. Everything is relative. Who Osho is speaking to in that moment is someone strongly identified with their endless stream of thoughts and the character produced. So in that sense, yeah, you have to
Oh,
consider who the audience is, and he's not.
contextually speaking, like if this were you 10 years ago, it would make you mad, and you'd want to know more. What is it that's mad, basically?
I guess, or I don't, but I don't know. It's just like it's throwing. There's a Zen saying, "Making waves where there are none." Like I don't know. These teachers say things that I just think add a layer of confusion. They like add an additional thing for the mind to think about and get in the way. That's like just something you have to drop later anyway.
Yeah, because
Um,
eventually you start to think that your the way you react and respond to things emotionally is a problem. And if you start,
right.
yeah, if you start to think that feeling is a problem, that's a big problem because that's what we are and that's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I suffered under that for a while. Is that like anytime I had a reaction, I was like, oh, I must not be free. And then there's a lot of spiritual pride and ego. This is what a stupid concept. But like I'm not this master that I thought I was because I'm getting angry or whatever. Which is true. I wasn't and I'm not um whatever I used to think I wanted to be. But I mean that you're gonna tell a human brain to stop doing what it's designed to do and that's somehow like a higher level for it or so, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But if
The
you hold on to it, you identify it, you believe it's real, um there's this level of suffering that's pointless. um
well, that was Krishnamurti's final words, right? Like his final teaching when he was about to pass on. He said, "I don't mind what happens."
I don't know if that was the final teaching, but he said that. He said, "Do you want to know what my secret is?" And then everyone leans in close and he says, "I don't mind what happens," which is really disappointing because it's true, but it doesn't tell you ever, people want to know, okay, how do I do that? But there's no doing that. That's you either accept that and it happens, or you sit there remaining in this state of like, I got to do something or make it or get it. So it's like you actually hear that. He says, I don't mind what happens. That's the secret. And then people hear that and then immediately reject it. is the reaction.
Hmm.
No, I'm not just going to not mind what happens. I want to reach that point first. I don't want to already be there. I want to arrive at that. That's weird.
Right. So back to the real is anything that does not take thought to sustain. So you were saying like you liked when people agreed and you didn't like when people disagreed.
It's not like no. I like whoever you are that agreed with what I said, just without question. Just said, yeah, that sounds pretty good.
That's all. It was just like a good song. Good song, bro.
Yeah, my character was pleased.
So I'm gonna go into some of these comments that I'd like to ask. I'd like to ask you. Okay.
Okay.
The first one is someone asked the guy with the lamp what real is.
The guy with the lamp?
That was you. You had a lamp in the clip, I think. Or maybe, yeah, it's you. Yeah, so they want you to define what real is. I think contextually.
Didn't I do that?
You said real is anything that doesn't take thought to sustain. So yes, I would say you did it. But for some people, a lot of people, because I was trying to reply to as many people as I could, a lot of people didn't understand what you were pointing to when you said real. What is real?
Okay, so here's this will be very disappointing. So first of all,
The dream. Let's try this out.
what's
Real
held
is
together by
anything-
mind also includes your
real is
total
anything
experience.
That doesn't take thought.
Everything you know, everything you're seeing right now, everything you believe
Real
you
is
are,
anything that doesn't
everything
take
you're
thought to
sensing.
sustain.
is all
Like-
being constructed in a brain right now. And just like we
It's
talked
anything
about,
that
sound isn't
doesn't
an
take
inherent
thought to
property of a
sustain.
physical
Real
object
is
or whatever.
anything-
Neither is anything you're sensing. So your experience fails the definition of real, in that sense. But like, if I could step back further, I wrote this down actually because I didn't want to.
You wrote down what real is?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about it this morning because I wanted to clarify like what I meant or like what I meant for myself. But okay, here's an example. Have you seen a cell? Have you?
Like, I've seen a picture of one. I haven't seen one. I couldn't see one right now.
Right.
But I've seen, like, someone showed me it looks like a donut.
Yeah, so I think for most, some people have, and
Or really, it looks like a SpaghettiO. Sorry.
Well, we've seen one in school, so let's take an atom. Okay, so have you seen an atom? Not an atom, an atom, not you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've never actually seen me either.
Particle. So you've seen a picture of a particle, and you've heard someone tell you that they exist, but you don't have direct knowledge of. You've never actually seen one. All you have is a belief that they exist based on stuff other people have told you. And for most people, that's enough for them to believe that it's real.
Okay, so
to
like a digital image of an atom that we have.
And so people will say a particle is real.
Okay.
But that's solely based on their belief that it's real. They've seen a picture, someone showed them a picture and told them something, and they believed it. So, get it?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm playing devil's advocate here because, like, the one comment that I got a bunch was, it seems that people have a very soliptic worldview. They have this kind of "I'm the only one that's real" type. I'm the only one that I can know to be real type situation going on, philosophically speaking. And the problem with that is it doesn't make logical sense, because it's saying that I can't rely on the people around me. I can't rely on your thoughts or your observations or your experience to help me navigate. I can't, if I'm the only one that's real, I can't rely on the whole itself, because the whole itself is just a projected illusion of NPCs. And so
Yeah, well,
like I hear what you're saying, but that doesn't, it's like saying, okay, well, this surgeon knows how to fix my heart if I've got a heart problem, but I've never seen it. I've never known it. I've never touched it. I don't even know that the heart is in there. What makes me believe that I need heart surgery?
yeah. So like, I'm not saying that that's a good definition, but I'm saying so if we're going to talk, most people, what they're talking about, they're thinking it's something they, what they think is real, but the reality is they just believe it exists. They don't actually know anything about its reality at all.
Okay, so
So like,
what you're saying, let me clarify for people that might be misunderstanding. Guys, I've had hundreds and thousands of hours of conversations with Reed, so I'm well versed in where he's getting at with this. So what you're saying is, generally speaking, what we'll do is we'll take what people say and assume it to be the truth without testing it for ourselves, basically.
right. So the people that are arguing this or that are real, are probably most of what they consider real is based on belief and hearsay rather than actual knowledge that the thing is real. So like, we're already on like shaky ground. That doesn't mean it's real or not. It's just that we're totally in the realm of beliefs when we're talking about what we think is real, which doesn't make sense because you think real would be something that's not based on a belief. But let's say that real is anything that, say like, okay, I haven't seen an atom, but it has an effect on its environment. Like, I haven't seen my heart, but it's producing an effect in the environment. It has a real effect in the world, right? So we could measure realness by something that has the ability to either be perceived or affect other things. You say that makes sense?
No, it doesn't.
Just because we can't perceive it, but it is affecting. Like I can't perceive, what's behind this door over here, but the fact that it's not a vacuum, that it's stable air pressure, is having an effect on my current experience elsewhere.
Okay, I'm trying to. So something that has an effect on the objective world or the material world would be considered real, is what you're saying? Like, because it has an impact on other things, that two hands can clap.
Basically, I think
That makes it real.
Yeah. Well, I think people would argue that, right? I'm suggesting
what is the real that you're pointing to in the clip? Real is anything that does not take thought to, because like I'm gonna clap,
Yeah.
right? I clap. That I don't need thought to sustain it because it's already gone. Like whatever sound that was is gone, or if it is there, it's not perceived. So it's no longer real, but it was for like a split second.
So no, that's not what I'm saying. So I'm suggesting that an argument people would make would be that it has an effect on other things or can be perceived, right? I'm suggesting that as a objection that people have, or a definition that people have, and I want to go further and point out that if something only exists because of its effect on something or its perception by something, then its existence is dependent on something else. Its existence has become relative. So everything we perceive is relative to us perceiving it. And if you were to say, well, it's real because it affects us even though we don't perceive it, well, that's still placing its reality in a relational category. So it depends on something to affect or be perceived by to be real. And that's obviously means it's not real if its reality is measured in effect or relationship to something else.
And you could say the inverse too. That
What's the inverse?
Well, everything requires everything else to exist. You could say the inverse.
Yeah. So I think at the core, yeah. So I wanted to go through all that. So um, it's kind of like a hypothetical argument chain to get to. I think what at the core of what people mean by real is something that would have independent existence. It's not a relative phenomena arising and disappearing, right? It's something that exists by itself. Um, and there's nothing.
I think let's swap the definition now. I mean, the word. Let's swap the word real with true. Does it still what you what you just said still make sense if I put the word true in there? Capital T true, capital R real. Are these the same things?
I'm not sure. I think there's too much really to unpack, or there's too much baggage with those words.
Yeah,
Um,
and
so
the chat is agreeing. I want to ask. I want to bring to a different question that they're asking. They want to know what you think perception is.
um,
And I was curious too. I even wrote that down when I was looking at the comments. Somebody asked or said something, and I was like, I got to ask Reed because I don't actually. The question was, is your perception thought based? Is that thought based?
so if we can go back to what I said about the sound earlier, so we have some kind of physical occurrence that is interpreted by the brain, um, and that creates our experience. So is a, I don't know physically what the difference would be, but I think a perception would be the body sensing something. So like a sensory input of some kind. Like if I rub this little mouse pad thing, um, there's perception of the stimuli and all that shit. Or there's the experience of that perception as it's constructed in our consciousness. So there's a real perception. Oh shit. At the relative level that we kind of exist and move at, there's a real perception, and then there's a constructed experience of that perception. So at the level of the body, something physical happens, but at the level of the mind, that appears as a feeling.
Okay, so let me repeat this, and you tell me if what you said is what you said. So you're saying perception occurs in the body as a vibrational occurrence. Information gets sent to the brain, and the brain is what interprets it, and that's your perception?
Yeah, so there's a physical perception and then a mental experience of that perception.
So what
So I
is it?
think
So what is it
perceive
that's so you're perceiving this right now. If you're able to dumb your brain down for a second and not understand the words that I'm saying, if you were to allow like just sound to occur, you're perceiving that sound. What is that? What is the perceiving? What is perception?
yeah. So let's pull back the camera a little bit and talk about a third level of perception. And I would say the only perception that's occurring for me, probably for you, is the perception of what's being perceived. That's the only level of perception that I have.
Well, this is what's curious. The moment that I start to be aware of what's being perceived, I enter into my body and I enter into experience. But before that, I just was what was this whatever this is just what was happening. I couldn't say that there was a difference between me or you at all, that there was any sort of unique vantage point out of which this was occurring. It just felt like this is what I and you are. This is just what this is. But the moment you said perceive it, it was like, oh, I realized I'm in my room and there's a house and windows and a screen.
Well, you were already perceiving it. You didn't have to do anything new, but your mind, I don't know. I mean, so like when you're talking about that, it's like, what is it that's shifting back and forth between those modes of perception? automatically, you know?
Yeah,
There's something that perceives this as no distinction, and then that same thing seems to then perceive it as with distinction.
yeah, I think two things are happening at once. I think ultimately we are collectively consciousness experiencing itself as being a human. And I wouldn't say there's a differentiation between me, you, and anyone on chat or anyone watching or listening. That it's all just consciousness itself experiencing itself. So that's on one level. It's pluribus. If you've seen the show Pluribus, that's what really is going on. But on the other side, which is also occurring at the same time, is there's this body mind that has a unique chemistry based on its conditioning, its biology, that is moving, interacting, and experiencing as a person or as a distinct entity in an infinite plane of other entities or forms, a myriad of infinite forms. So both those things are occurring simultaneously.
So the difference between maybe the two appearances is that on one hand there's the appearance of a perceiver. On the other hand, there's not the appearance of a perceiver. The perception's the same. The appearance of a perceiver affects the way the mind interprets what it's perceiving. And then that seems to change, because you don't change. Whether or not you're seeing everything as one without distinction, or you're suddenly perceiving yourself as a body, perceiving a self that's you as a body in a room, what that is that's at the back of either of those cases hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is the sense of a being perceiving or the absence
Yeah.
of a perceiver.
It's just like lights flickering on and off at all times. The
So
light is your personhood.
Yeah. Which means it's not you if it can come and go.
Right. It's not who you really are.
Right. But most people don't. I don't know what most people get. Not everyone
most people
gets
oh, go ahead, sorry.
not everyone sees the flicker. It's like you don't know if you're in a room, born in a room with the lights on. You stay in that room your whole life. You would never know that the lights were on. Someone could teach you that the lights are on and tell you about it. You would have no clue that the lights were on. If someone told you the lights were on and they could be off, you'd start developing all these weird mental ideas and frameworks and practices. Probably, maybe you'd invent some kind of practice like meditating. If you stand on your left foot for 3 hours in a row for 10 years, eventually you'll experience the lights being off or something, but you don't even know what that is. Until
oh, go ahead.
What? Until the lights are actually flicked off, you don't know what lights on is. But once the lights are flicked off, then you know lights off and lights on. And if that's the same for the experience of one as self, as the character, until there's an experience of not that, there's no understanding that you're not that. You would understand you're not that as that, and that creates neurosis, weird practices, introduces confusion, which is why I don't think any of these Advaita teachers I think they're dangerous and they need to be silenced.
I want to know why you think that, but before I ask that question, I want to catch up Bird. He wants me to translate what you're saying. Bird, he's basically saying it's Plato's allegory of the cave, in the sense that until you recognize or have an experience or let's say an understanding that you're not actually a person, you won't be able to differentiate being from personhood. Is that correct? You're shaking your head no.
Well, I don't know. It's such a
like if I were to tell you that the lights can go off, that you could cease to exist and experience ultimate freedom, you would think I was a crazy person. right? But until you understand that is, right?
You would understand that as a person, and it doesn't make sense how many ways up and down you describe it.
Oh, okay, because the person
A
is the one
person is
interpreting it.
hearing it.
The person's
Yes.
hearing it. Got it.
But the only different, nothing changes, but either the presence or the absence of a perceiver, a person.
Yeah, so explain to me why you think the Advaita teachers need to disappear, because what comes to mind when you say that is I am that, it's Rupert Spira's awareness, it's the Advaita teachers that are helping orient what you just said and framing it in a way that can be understood. It's like their teachings help that, what you just described, the I am, the Ramana Maharshi, like just meditate on the I am, and the person will eventually disappear and you'll transcend. Like their teachings is what seems to help people.
Bullshit. And I think Paul Hederman's the best because he points that out right away. If a character is meditating on I am, that's just reinforcing the character. If someone tells you you're not a person or a body, like Jim Newman, what hears that is a person. And now that person's going to run around trying to practice not being a person, which reinforces a character doing things.
Yeah.
I think it's like my experience, like when I first encountered this stuff, especially like Rupert Spira and Lucille and all these characters, it actually introduced a layer of confusion that wasn't there before. I wasn't seeking to not be a person or be free from a person. Like it introduced this idea that I wasn't a person, and so now my brain is like at war with itself. Like it just introduced like a new level of like that's not me, this isn't me, oh that's not me. It's like one of those methods of inquiry is like discard everything that's not me. Look at this isn't me, that's not me, that's not me. But the thing that's saying that's not me is also not you. So you've got you're believing what's not you is discarding the things that aren't you. You haven't budged an inch in this. It hasn't taken you anywhere. It's just made you weird.
That's great. Yeah.
But I listened to a Rupert Spira meditation like 2 days ago. I got about one or 2 minutes in, and I was like, I don't know why I want to listen to it. I was just like, wanted something to fall asleep to, I guess. But I was like, wait a second. He's done nothing but reinforce the illusion for the last 2 minutes. He's like, it's weird. He's speaking to you. I don't know what he was doing, but I remember why I stopped listening to him in the first place. He like reinforces what you're not, and like he's like speaking to someone who wants to get out of something. And he's creating a problem where there isn't one. We need to let's next time let's pull up a clip, and I'll point out I'll try to point out what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you could go listen. I pull up a picture of Spira for people that might be watching, but you can go listen to any of his talks. And so basically what he tries to do is he tries to point to awareness itself, being itself as the object that one can realize, but the one doing, like the if you're listening to it, you'll think that's, if you're a person, or if you're not a person, you'll just interpret it as a thing that's reinforcing your own sense of personhood.
There's a goal or a point or an achievement that's subtly implied and created, which takes one further from the realization of that goal. It just doesn't make sense.
So I want to talk about this then, because when I was responding to a lot of people on the TikTok post, the non-viral TikTok post,
yeah.
It seemed like a lot of people it seemed like the only real response I could give to people was to try and guide them through a meditative state. it seemed like people don't have a base level, or the people that commented at least didn't have a base level understanding of what meditation is and how meditation, like, it seemed like the solution or the answer to most of the comments was like meditation. Like, just watch what's happening. If you can watch what's happening, you'll see some of this stuff. The questions that you have will be answered if you can get into a meditative state.
Yeah, I think there's which is interesting, is like, how did they get this video and why are they watching it? But really, I mean, it's we were talking about philosophy, like everyone talks about that and debates that kind of shit. But for it to go from a philosophy to experience, I think that's a leap most never make. That's why, like, I don't always. I like talking this kind of stuff now. Just because I know fully that it doesn't mean anything. Nothing that I'm saying is actually real. I mean, it's all, I could be.
You broke up a little bit. You could be a
The
wacky
label on every piece of trash I find.
Sorry. Yeah, you broke up a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. It's birds chirping. It's not. It doesn't hold any truth or answers at all in any way, shape, or form. It's all just
Right.
entertainment.
But
Before you didn't have that perspective. Before you thought there was something in this wordplay to help you realize something.
I think so. Yeah, but I think it on a relative level, it's fun to talk about, and I think on a relative level it can be helpful too.
But what you were just saying, which I think I want to stay on for a second, is what people are doing, or what it seems like people in the comments were doing, is they're bringing their philosophy into this in relationship to what's being presented. They're not bringing their experience or their awareness into it.
Right. It's a purely philosophical, intellectual discussion, which is pointless and it leads nowhere. Actually, it leads somewhere. It leads further into the illusion that you know something, and are doing something, when in reality you're not doing anything. It feels like by talking about this stuff, it almost like feels like you're discovering and progressing when you haven't actually moved. It's like planning to work but not working, which I do all the time. I spend so much time planning about what I'm gonna, how I'm gonna do this or that video or whatever, and then don't do it. But it feels like I've done a lot. And maybe in some, that planning is necessary sometimes, but it's like if I were to talk to people about the YouTube channel I'm in the process of creating right now. I talk to them for 8 hours a day. Some people do that. They'll talk about what they're doing, but not actually do.
So what we're really talking about is a yogic practice. Yoga, in the sense that yoga means unity. So it's an experiential. Yoga is the science of unity. And it's something that an individual needs to test and practice and examine for themselves. Like, it can't be done for anyone else. And that's why meditation. So when we present these thoughts or these videos, what seems to be happening is people are bringing their beliefs and their philosophies into what's being said, rather than taking what's being said and examining it for themselves and attempting to discern it. Like, what is coming up in relationship to what's being shared? Why am I disagreeing with this? What is it that disagrees? But I would also venture to say that bringing that into the conversation, like bringing your beliefs and your philosophy into the conversation, is a productive activity, because if you can sit there and say, no, here's why that's wrong, it may break down the shell that the person may be wearing in the form of their beliefs and their perspective, more so than their experience or their knowledge or understanding.
If they're open to that. But I suspect a lot of people would be engaging in a discussion purely in order to defend. In which case, like, them even talking to you is like at maximum defense level.
But wouldn't you say that that's a natural expression? Like the defense rising and being shared is a natural occurrence along the process of self-discovery?
No, I mean, it could be, but there doesn't have to be any self-discovery involved. You can go your whole life with defenses up. I think a lot of people do and discover nothing.
So then that's why like a teacher, or not even a teacher, I don't even like the word teacher. Like that's why
You have to already be on the path of self-discovery and willingness to discover in order to want a teacher, want a guide, to listen to somebody.
but but wanting that is actually you're right.
It's relative. You have to start in the relative world if you live in the relative world.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, and you also have to understand the language, and you have to like. There's so much stuff like, oh man, when first getting started in this type of stuff, there's so much stuff that like you got to make sense of. Guide is guide is a better word than teacher, or just like a fellow traveler. Like read. I can't tell you how many times you have shattered my perspective, my ego, my philosophy, just pointedly by asking me a question. Like
why are you doing what you're doing right now?
What do you want? What do you really want?
Or like, why are you pursuing a want?
What do you think you're going to get?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
But then those questions are, that don't mean anything right now because it's all contextual.
It is. Matter of fact, we're about 6 minutes up to the hour, and we're going to bring someone onto the show. We'll bring Double. Double, are you in the chat? One of someone who's been hanging out in the Discord I've been talking with and chatting with since we started the show wants to come on, and I figured we could do, we could, because we wrap up at 9:30. We could spend the last bit of the show getting to know Double and talk about what we'll talk about when we're talking. So let me go to the Discord and see if I can bring him in here. I got to send him an invite.
Did we answer the questions we were talking about?
I mean, I got a bunch more, but it's challenging for me because like I see the chat going on and it's affecting the way I'm interacting with you. You know what I mean? Like it's affecting the way that it's affecting, like, how do I describe
I don't
this?
know. I think it's good to have some coherent line of thought going on by responding to questions.
Yeah, but it's challenging for me because I want to fully take in what you're saying, and I want to respond to it, and I want to be part of the conversation, and I'd like us to, I love Jordan Peterson, I love Sam Harris, I love intellectual philosophical dives into deeper levels of understanding, and that's kind of what I like doing with you. Like I like us trying to crack the code on something. But I also recognize what you're saying too. Like it might be, I might have to learn how to go in and out. It's just hard for my attention to keep track.
Yeah, you might have to take the questions off screen and then only visit them once there's a pause or a break in what we're saying.
Right. Yeah, so I'll have to, I think what I'll have to do is I'll have to, oh, look who it is. You want to say good morning to Reed? Oh my gosh. He's got a bloody nose. Hold on one sec. Say good morning to Reed, bud. Go sit down.
Reed.
Hey, Eli. Did you hurt your nose?
We got a haircut yesterday at the Cuban barbershop.
Oh, nice. Spot on.
With Gregory, that's right. And you had Taco Bell, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
What?
Right.
Sprite and a quesadilla for dinner.
Sprite and a quesadilla.
Okay, bud. You want to join the show over here? You sit over here. Eli, you sit here. Dad'll sit here. Okay? Ah, buddy. Good job. Okay, that's Eli. Eli has joined the show. By the way, if you want to understand Buddha nature, just sit with him for a little bit. Seriously. Okay, is Double here? Double. He's not. I don't think he's here.
Okay. What other questions?
Oh, I got some other questions. Let me pull them up.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
I think we skipped over something important, but I can't remember what it was. I'm going to have to start writing some of this down.
Yeah, we got to... Yeah, one of us needs to have better notes, I think. We already did what real is. We've got... this is what about the programming one. You know how the video, when you're talking about we're all programmed, and getting angry about being in line is like we're programmed to be that way. And this guy said, I thought this was funny. Pillmonger said, if anything, people tried to program me to be patient, and it didn't take. Which is an interesting other side to that.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but all of our teachers and our parents try to program us by telling us stuff, but the real programming happens when we watch them.
Oh, good point.
Did we hang out with patient people when we were growing up? Did we observe patience in our parents and teachers, or were they the first people we saw get frustrated at home? No patience was taught. Words don't teach.
Yeah. So let me read this. There's a lot of people coming from a practical space. Let's call it a blue collar attitude. Okay. It's absolutely laughable. This is what someone said, that people think in central reactions to things are somehow programmed. I don't need anyone to tell me waiting in line is bad when I've been in line for 45 minutes at McDonald's waiting for my lunch, and my lunch break is only 30 minutes long.
So the question is, why is that bad? What system are you using to measure bad? That's fucking selfish.
So let's talk
because
about
it affects your day in the way you don't want it to go. Sorry.
I completely agree with you. So let's talk about what's actually been on. I've been trying to make sense of this. Okay. It seems that I'm very sensitive to thought, because as I'm interacting with you, it's like I feel like I'm recentered in what I know to be true. But if I go into interacting with other people's thoughts, it's almost as if I drop my own discernment and I play along with their thinking and go, "Oh yeah, that could be right."
Yeah, I'm the same way.
What is that?
I'm the same way. I think there's two things going. Well, so it's like I can see the truth of what anyone's saying, and what I realized was like, I can see what they're saying is true within their framework. I can like temporarily adopt or jump into a framework and see how something's true. So like, but I think that has something to do with like our natural like social behavior. When we're with I don't know, like mirror neurons and all this stuff going on in the brain, like we try to it's not that we try to relate to each other. Like the brain automatically tries to do that. But I think we temporarily adopt the belief systems of the people we're talking to. Not everyone, but I looked at this recently, and I think I do it because or I've done it strongly my whole life, and I didn't realize it till recently, but like I don't think there was ever a strong sense of self. There was a strong sense of self-importance, but not a strong sense of as a concrete, stabilized identity. So like I jump in and out of whatever group I was a part of, or I just believe whatever this person I was with believed. I mean,
Because you didn't have your own framework, your own sense of
but
who you
the
were
thing
as
is,
a
like,
as a character.
yeah, I had a strong thought framework and belief framework, but as far as like who I am or who I was, there wasn't. I just kind of adapted to whoever I was with.
Yeah.
But it was like the time I spent with this Christian mentor. It was like while I'm with him, like I can see the truth in everything he's saying. Just like in AA or with a sponsor or whatever. I can drop my beliefs, everything, and go along with what someone's saying. And I can see how it could be true. Because I see that nothing's really true. But so I can see like, yeah, I can see how that would be true. It's
Okay.
all relative. It's
Okay.
not like
Then,
an absolute. Sorry.
so, well, then let's talk about what seems to be happening over here, because that seems to answer the question I've been having the last couple of days. The question is, why is everyone and everything in my life not interested in the thing that matters the most to me? So ever since we started getting on the stream every week and publishing the stuff and the YouTube videos and making the stuff, like this is all stuff that I'm ultimately interested in at all times. Yet nobody in my actual life is interested in it at all. So maybe it sounds to me what you just said. Maybe what I've done is I've done all that to navigate through the world rather than do you know, does that make, like, I've dropped all my own interests in order to meld or coordinate with with other people in the world. And that's why nobody in the world actually is interested in the things I'm interested in.
Maybe I'm not sure. Would you actually like it if everyone around you was talking about this stuff all the time? Wouldn't it actually be terrible?
Yeah, I literally, I have to, like, if I get on the TikTok, I can't be there for longer. Like, it's overwhelming. It's so much. Yeah.
So there was a girl. So Tracy, we've been together like 6 or 7 years or something like that. But she's not a philosopher at all. Or I don't know. She's wise in her own way, but like she doesn't really go into this kind of stuff like I do. And I like bringing. Oh my God, I love bringing up this kind of stuff with Tracy because she can just shoot it down so easily. Like I'll bring up like a radical idea just to see what her reaction is. And I'll say like remember Douglas Harding's like headless way thing, like this is for everyone listening. Notice in your first person experience right now you don't have a head. There is open awareness sitting on top of some shoulders and arms in your first person experience. But I'll go like, Tracy, do you notice right now you don't have a head? And she's like, yeah, I do. It's right here. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. I'll say, Tracy, you don't exist. And she'll say, yeah, I do. Okay. I mean, I can't argue that.
Yeah. So it brings you out of your own thinking, your own mind, your own.
It's great.
That is true. It really brings. Melissa does the same stuff.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
Well, hold on. Let me finish that.
Okay.
So before I met Tracy, I was dating this girl who was a thinker, who was extremely intellectual, philosophical, all this stuff. Like basically, like kind of like a mirror of my own, mental tendencies or whatever. And I know that like I would be miserable if I was her. Someone who is that serious and talking about this kind of stuff all the time, and I lived with them. That'd be terrible.
But how would you explain? So I don't know what your experience is like when we're together. And I think actually your experience is different than mine. Every time I see you in person, I experience what I think all those people that hang out with their gurus experience. I get like a release of dopamine, and it's like I enter in a realm where time has no meaning and we're all wind creatures. That's what it feels like when I enter your personal presence after not being around you. And sometimes even, yeah. So, but that's not thought-based. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know what that is. It could be like my smell.
But I also know that it's your pheromones, your pherobros. But I also have had I also know that we can't spend long times because we start to get agitated with one another too. So that's also a thing.
I get agitated with you. It's true. You were wearing your swimsuit wrong, but you wouldn't believe me. And then you looked in the mirror one day and you were like, you know what? You were right.
Yeah, I was showing too much cleavage of my nutsack.
Oh my God. I was like, dude, you need to pull that shit up. And you're like, no, you're wrong. No.
Dude, you saved my life in many pools from that moment forward. I always pull them up now.
Yeah.
You also stopped me from bringing my phone to the beach as well.
You'll hyper resist stuff I tell you, and then later on, and by yourself, you will come to that truth. And for me, in the moment, it's frustrating because I'm like, I'm telling you something. There's no absolute truths, but there are at the same time. You don't wear your swimsuit like that. Don't take your phone to the beach.
Yeah.
Those are good things. Leave the phone in the car. Turn it off. Leave the phone at home. Put it in your butt.
All right. See you later, Saiku Yinu.
See you, man.
Say was leaving. Yeah. Where was I going with that? What were we talking about before that? You were saying Tracy and how we move. Shay Kainu. High lifer on talk. Oh, great. Shay. Oh, sorry. I was chatting with the chat bots. I mean, the actual people.
Well,
by the way, if I take offense when I'm watching a streamer I like and they keep referring to chat, because I'm not just a chat. I'm a person.
So something I keep noticing, when I'm in groups of people, I see robots. I don't see people. I see robots. I see everything. I just see programmed reactions to everything. I don't see true individuals choosing or reacting or responding. It's just robot, and it's beautiful. There's just this beautiful, weird organism, like, but then like by myself or whatever. But like I'm staying there, like watching. Like I clearly recognize it's just everything's programmed behavior, and then I'm here like, why do I believe that there's something that's not programmed
In you?
for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's like this. I can recognize it completely in a crowd.
So this is why this, right? You just offered a glimpse, okay? Like a glimpse into this way of being. Because I've had the exact same experiences. I was working at Tomorrowland or some EDM music festival. I was like, and when I was in the backstage area with everybody who's there that's working the concert, and I'm standing in line and I see the exact same thing. I realize that as people are moving through this line, getting their food and stuff, no one knows what they look like in that moment. No one has any ability to see themselves as they are in this moment, including me. We're all just floating heads or floating spaces interacting with its environment. And I saw people chatting and I'm like, there's this, that none of them can see themselves.
Yeah. Well, you can't see yourself either.
I know.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's what everything is. Like to me at the time it was a glimpse and it tripped me out and it felt like I was stoned for like 15 minutes. Now it's now it's all I see.
Yeah.
Like even when Melissa's yelling at me mad, I'm trying. Sometimes I like make it worse because I'll start smiling. Like it's terrible.
I know. I'm hyper aware. I'm watching a robot right now. I'm watching a machine act out its programmed responses. And I know there's something real. And so like when I look at Tracy, Tracy's my big experiment. So like, cause like I can just like stare right at her. You can't do that to a person on the street. I mean, you can, but this bot, I can realize that's a belief system, but there's some belief systems like you just the mind won't let you override. So it's like, but like Tracy, I can like stare right at her and observe. And then I can see the ultimate behind everything. I can see that there's clear awareness. I see me. I can project my being into her, and I'm looking at the female version of me. It's all kinds of stuff.
Then if we
I just see Tracy as an individual choosing, and I'm like, wow, she has her own preferences and likes. And like, I don't know why that's such like a weird thought, but
you never get to do that. When do you get to really look into someone else's eyes in that intimate way? Like you're seeing the entire universe as yourself and as itself as something unique. Like you don't get that. Listen, if we were in the 70s and we were in Oregon, we could be with Rajneesh doing this. Everybody, me, Iona Toon, Bird, we could all be doing this if we were with Osho. Like that's what they did is like they just said, hey, y'all look at each other in the eyes. That's the meditation for today. See what comes up.
Well,
Where's the resistance? What are you resistant towards?
Dude, this guy sounds more and more like a scam. Like we could come up with that.
Yeah, but
and then you pay us $1,000 a week to stay at our thing. We're gonna have all these.
But it's all ephemeral stuff. It's like the moment you start trying to produce feelings or produce experiences, it becomes an amusement park or it becomes a drug. Or I want to. Eli is spinning behind me. That's what he does in the mornings. Like he loves just listening to music, and he doesn't have like that receptor that causes him to get dizzy. He doesn't have that.
Really?
Yeah, whatever function that is, he'll do this for 20, 30 minutes before he gets on the bus and not be dizzy. But here,
maybe he's normally dizzy and he's making himself undizzy at the beginning of the day.
He is kind of cockeyed. He'll look at you kind of like sideways. But here's a couple questions. This was really interesting what Iona Toon said. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. We were talking last week and I was struggling with your name the whole time. Iona Toon. I read a story once that a kid said he was afraid of going to school because being surrounded by many people made him feel he doesn't know which one he is.
Yeah. And then we'll treat that as a mental illness and give him medication. That's the heartbreaking part about it.
Yeah. Damn, dude, that's so cool.
Well, let's take this guy and there should be like a monastery spiritual career path that you can opt into rather than the purely material school job path that you're forced into. So like you have a kid like that, let's put him on this path. That's our next teacher.
The next world teacher?
Maybe, but instead he's just going to be an unhappy office worker. And they're going to teach him what he's seeing isn't real. They're going to teach him not to see that way. That it's wrong to see other people as yourself. And then those same people that taught him that in their 50s are going to be trying to see other people as themselves because they want to get free of the miserable world.
Work.
Double.
Hey.
Welcome, dude.
For the love of all, give me 13 seconds for something. Something's not happening here. Unless I just take these headphones out.
All
right. So as long as it doesn't pick up my microphone, I hope you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah.
I'll even turn my.
Oh, nice hair, bro. Nice.
Thank you. Howdy.
Hey,
Uh,
I'm trying to
hey,
figure out why the screen looks weird on my end here. Yeah, I can see you. Good to see you, dude.
It's probably something I've done. I assure you. So, if you're cool with me just jumping right into it, if you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah.
I found that really interesting. By the way, if it's not obvious, I think both you, Reed, and Adam are highly intelligent, and it's very
Right.
interesting watching you guys explore this. Um, the reason I say that is because just like you had implied that sometimes you get frustrated by things Adam says, and presumably stuff Adam says frustrates you, Reed, or vice versa. When I was reading all the comments, I couldn't help but feel like I was just getting lost reading everybody's opinions. And that has been something I've been thinking about all week, mostly because of what Adam has sort of kicked off here with Inside the Mind's Eye. But I've realized that in terms of like studying philosophy or enlightenment or theology, you really do have to narrow your focus as to what the definition of things are. Because I like to refer to what you guys do and what I often do with people as well is it's basically like intellectual jujitsu. All you're really doing is trying to explain or exploit a point that, in my own personal experience, hasn't really helped me answer any of the questions that stand out to me as to why I even did this in the first place. Which for me is, why is there suffering? Why am I suffering all the time? Why do I expose myself to suffering? Why do I feel like until I can complete that sort of Ouroboros loop, will I not be satisfied with any answer anybody gives me? We could talk about sound, we could talk about what is consciousness or not consciousness, but even if you gave me the answer the way that I want it, it still won't satisfy me. So I
Yeah.
guess my question to you two is, how do you explore through all of that full well knowing that people are on a different journey, they're at a different chapter in their life? Adam, you're familiar with some of the things going on with me. And how are you going to equip yourself with being able to give solid input or advice without coming off as you're just rambling? You're just saying whatever. You're just giving cookie cutter advice. You're just saying things to have them be said. So it's really confusing because I love the stuff people are asking, but as I said, it's intellectual jujitsu, which it doesn't get anybody closer to any sort of answer. And
No,
that now I'll shut.
yeah, so I think I'm on the same page with everything you just shared. As far as intellectual jujitsu is a good way to put it. And like so there's different levels to which I'll talk to people. For the masses or whatever, like there's just a natural propensity for my mind to want to refute and deconstruct.
Sure.
And so it's like I'm not even trying to do anything. It's just what we want to talk about jujitsu with life is finding out, observing what your natural propensities are and finding a way to channel those towards something that's positive and not destructive. So it's like this tendency got me into a lot of trouble in the wrong context. In this context, it's maybe more entertaining or possibly helpful. But if someone, but I'm not going to respond the same way. If someone genuinely is open to something, has some questions, is at some point on the path, wants some kind of guidance, what I say will be totally different. And I'll talk to the individual where they're at, and I think I have a good sense for being able to ascertain what relative level someone is understanding things at, and then speak within that, and then try to, because I've done it for myself. I've struggled piece by piece, idea by idea, reach it like up to where I am now. Not that that's why I see things the way I do now, but I think it's more like just my mind processes and deconstructs in that way. So I have this like I've worked it out in terms of concepts and ideas. So the side effect of that natural propensity is that I know how to explain things to people who might have certain questions, at least I think. Um, but and going back to what you said at first, like, yeah, because I recognize that there's kind of not like like what we're talking about, there's not like an absolute truth I'm going to point to. Well, I do in a way. Like if I'm responding to comments on TikTok, like my position, like I'm not getting lost in their perspectives. My position is, what you're saying is false. I don't even need to read what it is. I'm going to try to point back to the fact that what you're talking about, what you're saying is it's almost like my assumption is that what somebody is saying is based on a false premise to begin with. And I want to expose that false premise no matter what you're saying. I'm going to question the fact that you believe anything exists in the first place. Like, let's cut down to the fact that we're using logic, but that anything exists rather than nothing is itself illogical because it implies a effect without a cause. So like logic is a system built on something that's illogical. So like logic itself, it doesn't actually make sense. So like we can go like as deep as we need to, but for replying to the comments,
Wait, hold on, Reed.
I'm not.
Hold on a second. Does that make sense what he's saying?
Yeah, it absolutely does. I thank you for letting me jump back in on that.
Yeah.
I think that is why I said the idea of narrowing the definitions, because
Yes.
since you guys play MMOs, Adam knows I've played WoW in the past. You and I could talk about MMOs at a very high level, and if somebody were to not be familiar with the genre, it would sound like it's effortless on our behalf because we have hundreds of hours invested into it. But in order to have that casual conversation about, let's just say, the difference between retail WoW and classic WoW, it takes knowledge to even begin to understand. And then you can layer on the top of all of the pseudo, intellectualism of why people like classic and why people like retail, but it still doesn't feel like it serves anything. Because yes, we've created definitions, yes, we've narrowed our focus, but if you allow people to just pull ideas out of the air and challenge your preconceived or whatever you have foundation you've built up, it's not like they're going to walk away and go, wow, that really opened up my third eye. Now, it might make them think, which is what this whole show has had me do. It's made me go, okay, well, these are things I'm passionate about, but I've never spoke up. Why is that? So there's something to be said for the actual discourse itself. But if you want to have people discuss what is sound and then get all into the nitty gritty about tangible and untangible and what is real and isn't real, like, what is that really going to do?
Hold on, you're breaking up a little bit.
Different books, what you guys. Okay, well, that's what I get for using Starlink.
No. I mean that's what you're saying is very. Let me reiterate what you said. It's like
the book that you recommended, which is pinned on your TikTok, which I think. Sure.
Can you repeat the last 60 seconds?
Hold on one sec. I'll be right back.
Me or Adam?
You, Mr. Double.
Let's see. I'll probably phrase it differently now that I've the hot in me has calmed down.
Yeah.
You brought up the point of answering people differently based on what your perception of their, let's just say, experiences, or whatever your condition is that makes you go, well, I'm going to respond differently.
Yeah,
It
what if
makes me
they?
think of, that is literally slipping my mind, that Adam posted on his TikTok. But he talks about how in that book he went, there was this basically people coming up and he was just shooting them down one after another by ripping away at their ego. And somebody who is very intellectual and knows a bunch of buzzwords and can quote the allegory of the cave and all this other stuff needs to hear something more profound and more detailed than some sort of fortune cookie piece of advice.
Yeah. Well,
The question is, how do you ensure that you're narrowing your focus so much so that you're not getting into that intellectual jujitsu where you're just competing for the sake of exercising your muscle and showing how much you know or how much that person does or doesn't know.
Wait, let me take this because this is great.
Yeah.
There's no
Fantastic.
Yeah, there's no way to actually enter into that realm with another person unless they're sincere, and it has nothing to do with me or Reed at all. Like, we could say whatever we say is not going to be the thing that lights somebody up unless it's the thing that lights them up, and it's not because we were the ones that said it. It's just because it got said. So, like, the idea would be to create a space or that's more like an invitation to examine these things or this material for yourself. That, like, to take what's being said and exercise the muscle of discernment and test it for yourself. But there's nothing I can really do for anyone. And I learned this through 12-step recovery, sponsoring tons of guys. Like, I can't help someone get sober. The idea that I could say or do something that could help someone stay sober is completely absurd. And it's the same way with this stuff.
That's so smart you mentioned that, because as what I would like to refer to as somebody in recovery forever, will always be in recovery. The choice to get sober was my choice, which also so happened to be with just my unwillingness to continue to suffer the consequences of drug use. But ultimately, it was my choice to get sober. And I have heard people give me great advice that I have disregarded because I just was not ready to hear it. I wasn't ready to make that a truth about my life. I wasn't ready to deal with the consequences of shedding some of my old habits. So I get what you mean 100%. I just sometimes feel like there's a disservice to the greater narrative if we allow ourselves to get bogged down in like the muck and the mire, even if that person just so happens to be stuck in the muck and the mire at that point.
Yeah,
you're talking about entering into this kind of intellectual conversation at all? Is it?
Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, by the muck and the mire, are you talking about kind of swimming around in concepts and the jujitsu you're
No,
talking?
not necessarily. Strangely enough, I'm to sound hypocritical where I'm sitting here trying to like almost tease people, myself included, who can mention stuff. That makes me think of that Zen quote about the two monks who are walking down the mountain, the young monk and the older monk, and there's a girl who's having trouble crossing a river. The older guy puts the girl on his back, carries them across the river, puts her down, blah, blah, blah. And later on in the journey, the young monk asks the old monk, we're not supposed to touch women. Why did you do that? And he said, I put that woman down on the riverbank and left her there. You're still holding on to that idea, which is basically to say, the idea I have regarding that is we cling so much to the concept of what it means to be something that if we don't fulfill those roles, having a conversation about anything outside of that is where you get that friction. It's where words like the muck and the mire could be illustrated, because I might be stuck on something right now that you have already solved. And going back to that place I can't speak for you, but for myself personally, when I go back to those places, it's usually never a healthy thing for me.
So, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not trying. This conversation, the show, is possible because I'm not trying to exercise or prove anything, or be
Mhm.
anything. And for a while, I wanted to be a teacher, and then that got in the way of actually being able to do that anyway. But because I don't want to be anything, I'm free to just talk with Adam like this. But I do want to say I haven't solved anything. I've found it's like I found a million answers, but I'm no closer to solving anything than when I started inquiring about anything. And so, um, what I found, if I want to actually talk about solving, like that chronic discontent that I would, I think 99% of people have. Not everyone is aware of it. But the only answer there is letting the problems be unsolved, or not trying to solve them, because entering into any kind of uh, conceptual any kind of mental debate or exploration about my experience is adding to the confusion or the conflict that's preventing me from seeing that this is all there is, and it's okay as it is. It's perpetually and inescapably okay, and that I'm here. Going beyond that at all is dangerous territory, um, because there's Zen's great. It's got so many sayings, but like there's a saying like it's like if you entertain one thought, then you're already lost. Basically, it's like that.
Sure.
The first time like an idea pops up, and then maybe I'm not paying attention and I believe in it, that there's real and there's something to do. I could be on a 2-week train of thought before that thing drops, and it used to be 20 years, 2 years, whatever. Who knows? Once you get on the mental train, um, who knows when the next stop is. Um, but yeah,
That's
what? Go ahead.
go. No, you go ahead.
The stuff we're talking about, um, not entirely, but I'd say most of the stuff we're talking about at the end of the day has no bearing ultimately on
Sure.
someone's ability to be free or happy. I think there are things I say intentionally to point towards that. I don't know if I said anything today specifically pointing towards that, but honestly, all you need to, I think, and I'm actually going to make a video where I do this kind of as an experiment. In 10 minutes, I'm going to lay out everything I think needs to be said on the subject. And then at that point, it's like if they're interested, you can take this idea and look at it and explore it for yourself, and it should start to dissolve the system from inside. That's it. I think everything could be laid out in 10 minutes. But it's whether the person is open to it, wants to grab onto it, wants to hear it, and is basically, are you ready to let go of everything you want? Are you ready to say, I don't feel good today. I'm just not gonna feel good in perpetuity. Like to
Sure.
stop trying to get past where you are now. Like, are you ready to basically give up your hope for finding what you really want in a way, or like it's like what you want is
Hold up.
right. What you want
Hold up.
is like right. What?
I'm just messing with you. Sorry.
What you want, it's like it's 10 feet in front of you, it's visible, and what you need to do to get there is to sit down and stop walking towards it. and there's all the stuff around it that makes it look like it's going to disappear. It could be yanked away at any moment. If you don't get there right now, it's gone forever. And
But even that could be a trap eventually.
yeah, no, like what I'm saying isn't entirely true, but like it's like, well, yeah, what we're talking about today is I think it's entertainment, and it's like adjacent. Like if we're really talking about how for someone to be free, that's a different subject that we go into sometimes. But like,
Yeah, I should preface that, as I said, like by no means do I think anything here is pointless. If I definitely started to ramble, it was not my intent to come across that this is all meaningless. I suppose I got far more nervous than I anticipated.
but it is meaningless. It
but-
also is.
Well, so the reason I brought that up is because you had mentioned your spouse, and then Adam also mentioned his. It makes me think of a conversation I had with a customer I had a long time ago, where his aunt is your, like, let's just say, cookie cutter, like middle income white woman living in suburba. She works a 9 to 5. She goes home. She loves watching The Survivor, and she is probably more enlightened than you and I may ever be. And the conversation that him and I had was, well, then, as artists, quote unquote artists, what is the point in all this suffering if all you had to do was work a 9 to 5, watch Survivor, and you are at more peace than I've ever seen? I'll never be able to obtain that because it's almost like I've deliberately made this complicated for myself, as opposed to just letting it all go. So that's why I said what I said about like narrowing people's focus, because if you just let people go off in any direction, they'll just wander forever. Even if it does bring them back to the source, not that I am implying Adam or you, Reed, or even myself should be a teacher, but it is almost in our best interest to always make sure we're kind of cattling people into the right territory instead of getting bogged down with hypothetical things that don't really mean much. Because as you said, your girlfriend can look at you and go, but my head is right here. Like, what are you even talking about?
So I appreciate everything you just shared, and I want to.
Sure.
I've only got like 5 minutes left, and I gotta go because
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I was really sick. Yeah, I was really sick this morning.
I want to continue. I wish we could continue this. We should next week. Me and Reed will be better prepared. We'll to host it, and but I do want to say, based on what you said, I just want to kind of touch on that a little bit. Is Bruce Lee's philosophy of Jeet Kune Do, or the style of no style. It's essentially every individual's responsibility to discern for themselves. In my mind, the point of philosophy itself is for an individual to learn how to exist with what they are. So your friend's aunt who can go home, watch Survivor, and be totally content, like that's the way her body, mind, organism is wired for its own ultimate experience of contentment. That's not how mine is. I need a bunch of weird philosophy, esoteric shit. Like I realized this quickly when I was like, if I were to expect that someone could achieve enlightenment or awareness or insight the way I have, I would expect them to shoot 100 grams of heroin every week. Like, because that was my story. Like I did that for a year and a half. So like every single person is coming from somewhere completely unique to their own body, mind, experiential conditioning perspective. And I think the point of philosophy itself is the process of learning how to experience well-being with yourself, and no one can do it for you. Like I can't do it for anyone.
Yeah, that's actually smart.
So I don't know. I think I'm going to guess with this aunt that seems to be enlightened, and then the artist friend who seems to be suffering. I'm going to guess he spends a great deal thinking about how he feels, why he's suffering, and how to solve it. I'm going to guess that aunt has never thought about it in her entire life, about, am I discontent? Why am I discontent? And how to, she's not trying to think. She's not, I guarantee you.
Well, I know Adam said he has limited time, but like you can always connect everything. That's why I made that reference last week about if a tree falls in the forest, doesn't make a sound. There are so many things that are interconnected that take observation or perception or consciousness to even begin to examine. And once again, having a concrete definition of what those are might allow you to stop second guessing why things feel the way that they do. If that makes sense. Adam said, shooting 100 grams of heroin, which I
Units.
can't even.
Change it to units because I would be dead.
I'm not familiar with the heroin game, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how you get to level 60 in World of Warcraft as long as you get there. So I could pay $80 right now and get boosted to 60. I could start a series and get to level 40 and be absolutely tired of doing it, but force myself to do it. I could take 6 years to do it, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to get there. My story for how I got to 60 might be different than yours, but I'm still at level 60.
Well, so during the time of my life when I enjoyed Warcraft the most, this was a long time. This is back when it wasn't some re-release or something. It was live. I think I got to level 52. I never got to max level. I'd never experienced max level in any video game until I'd gotten older, gotten sober, and gotten concerned about like achievements or something. But like I don't know how I didn't get to max level and play it as I would just like hang out and at the city and I don't know. But I got to level 52 and then I went to rehab in California. That character is still level 52, even though I have access to the account, and I've made other characters max level since then. But it was, my goal for playing the game was not to get to max level, and I'll tell you the number one thing that has impacted my ability to enjoy a video game is having these ideas about what I'm trying to achieve in the game. But at the same time, I don't know if that's true because I always had a goal or something. I was gonna make 100 gold. I wanted to go make 1,000 gold. I wanted to level up this skill. I don't know. But
Yeah, I mean, I gotta stop talking because I know Adam said he's got to rock and roll. But you brought up a good point. Like I'm level 60 with the paladin, and I still just run dead mines because it's safe, easy, and I don't have to do anything.
yeah,
And if you tell me that's what my end goal was at 60, I'd say no, it's probably to do something better than that. And to run dead mines, I didn't deliberately get to 60. That was just so happens to be where I'm at and what I myself.
yeah,
So, but yeah, that's actually a great way to put that is the end goal doesn't always have to be some sort of finish line, which Adam and I have spoken about in the past. Like there are so many pieces of media that I just have not finished
yeah,
because I get to a point where I go, you know what? I'm done.
yeah. And then I don't know. I kind of want to refute what Adam said about philosophy being. Well, you said something about it being useful.
I said the only point of philosophy is for a person to learn how to exist with themselves. That's the point of it.
I think any philosopher is an individual working out their own brain. That's it. I don't think
Sure.
it necessarily applies to anyone. It's not about finding a universal truth or anything. It's that person understanding their own experience, which I don't even think is necessary to be content. I think I'm not sure if it actually, because like I said, I don't know if my philosophical exercise and understanding and ability to explain the stuff, if all of the insights I've had, have any of them have ever moved me a centimeter closer to actually existing comfortably in the present moment. An insight will temporarily kind of make that process stop because it's like found an answer, but that process will start up again because it's still looking for a new answer. But like, I'm not. I think the only thing that happens is that I don't know what happens, and I don't know if we have anything to do with it at all. The mind is just, we're on the inside watching a mind work itself out, and whatever conclusions the mind reaches, I'm not sure are even relevant to us.
Yeah, I
So-
don't think even sorted it out for myself, I'd be any closer to whatever our truth I think there is. You could give me all the answers, like I said earlier today, and I'd still go, but what about that one thing from 600 years ago? What, can you answer that? And that will
Yeah.
solve
We don't
this
want
existential.
answers. We want to find answers.
Yeah,
We
I
don't-
mean, people want to find, but it's always
that's-
like,
That's the
go ahead.
that's the bind. That's the problem. People don't actually want answers. We want to be seeking an answer. Like, the seeking is what we want, not the finding. We want to be seeking.
I disagree.
Not for people who've ended seeking.
Well, I mean, isn't that similar? You guys trashed transcendental meditation, or at least Reed, you made fun of it, which it is a bit silly, especially the guarding of the mantra, because I could say squirrel, 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 and find a way to develop meaning. However, I am a fan of David Lynch, as most people are.
Oh yeah, me too.
And he talks, not that this is a quote he made up, but he does talk about how, the journey of the art is the art itself. And once the art is created, it's no longer yours. And that part of your life is now over. And it's the journey, not the destination, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
That book he has, Catching the Big Fish, boy, that's a pretty quick and good read.
Yeah, that's great. It's like Alan Watts, his the music is playing, the music is the point, not the end of the composition. The trouble that I have is there was a large stretch of time where I was in a state of existential despair, and I would have given anything to experience a state of being that I'm, I don't know a better word to just say it, graced to experience today. Like, I would have given anything to not be in so much pain for as long as I was. And that's why I said like the idea that there's something more than just the journey. I feel like to have some sort of a goal or something, or hope, I guess, in some way, even though no matter how, the idea that something could be better than now is an important concept, even though I know it's a concept.
But you've consistently achieved that better than now, and yet you've begun looking for a better than now each time.
I would say I don't know.
So, like, the person who wanted it to get out of that pain and find an answer, you didn't get out of that and then just, everything's great, I'm cruising now. You kept looking for something.
Sounds almost like trauma.
Well, I don't think I was doing any, if there was something I could have done, I would have done it. I couldn't do anything. There was nothing that could be done.
No, it sort of like had to work itself out. You had to just sort of be a bystander and watch the train wreck unfold.
That's why Peter was the most helpful. I don't know if, Peter, you might have seen him double. He came on the show last week before we went to the Sweat Lodge, but Peter was so helpful to me because he taught me how to sit and be uncomfortable. He taught me how to be okay being uncomfortable. I didn't know how to do that. I was always trying to
actually
get out of it.
Peter was the first clip I saw of any of the stuff you did, and I'm like, wow, this guy seems to have figured it out. And then Reed Trash and Transcendental Meditation was the second clip, and I'm like, these guys are pretty fierce. But sorry, I cut you off. You were talking about Peter figuring it out and learning how to live in the nothingness of it all.
Yeah, he had a saying, and we did a podcast called "The Benefits of Staring at a Wall." And he had this wall in his
Mhm.
apartment that he would just, when he would feel things that were uncomfortable, he would sit and just sweat it out basically by staring at a wall. And he would explain it to me like all his answers, all the problems, everything was found. All the answers to everything he could conceivably have issue with is solved by staring at his wall. And I finally got it, and I didn't get it for the longest time. Like I just got to sit and I got to be uncomfortable. Like I can't and this is where I agree with Reed. The trying to be anything other than I am is what's causing the pain.
Yeah,
Continuing
but
to facilitate it.
if your method is I'm going to sit with this, you're still not accepting. You're not being with it. You're still responding to it in a way you hope will have some kind of effect.
Which is a great point, because whatever it was that Peter did for me was for me based on that moment. And I met with him every week. So it was a continued conversation. So it changed and it evolved, and there was no one thing that fixed
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
It can't be when I feel uncomfortable, I'm going to go do this practice for 20 minutes, because then it's no longer, then it's an act of resistance against what is, when what originally solved it was non-resistance to what is. But once the brain identifies something, an event that it can repeat, hoping to get that same result, it's locked itself back into the system that's keeping it in suffering. So if the answer is have no answer, the first time that works, the brain's going to be trying to figure out how to have no answer, which is seeking an answer. That's why insight doesn't lead to lasting relief. Because once the insight is recognized at having provided relief, like my brain will try to reproduce it. I'm going to contemplate on this topic again. I'm going to sit down in front of this dresser holding this green crystal 10 times in a row, because the last time I did it, I had all my shit dropped. So therefore it won't work anymore. Or it works like 2 or 3 more times, kind of. But
Like that's Warren's, what's that Warren Zevon song? My shit's fucked up. The shit that used to work don't work no more.
yeah,
Yeah.
because what we think worked wasn't actually what worked. The idea we think actually provided relief, it wasn't the idea, and it wasn't the thing we learned. It wasn't actually the insight we had. It was something deeper and behind that we can't conceptualize or label as cleanly. It's not the fact that I realized X. It's the fact that I realized period, or that the mind stumbled onto something that I don't know. Once it's defined, that's how you know that's not actually an answer. If you can repeat it out loud, if that makes sense.
I read a quote that somebody said, a person who blames everybody hasn't arrived. A person who blames only themselves is halfway there, and a person who blames nobody has fully arrived. And I'm still sorting through what that actually even means, because oftentimes I find myself just blaming myself at this point in my life rather than blaming others, which I used to do. So there's an evolution there.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what that looks like if the final end game is blaming no one, because I can sit here and tell you I blame no one, but to truly embody that feeling, I don't feel it. It's just fake it till you make it. So when Adam says, I wanted the answer, but no matter what I did, I wouldn't get it, it makes me think of when I was just at a doctor's appointment and I met an individual who was way older than me, definitely in his early 80s. And his situation is not as hopeful as mine.
Right.
And there was a level of acceptance to it that sort of still shakes me. But he, like many elder people do, called me a young babe. Despite being 38, I'm still a young babe. So I often wonder, is my level of understanding or capacity only this way because of my age or where I'm at in my life? And whenever I'm 80, maybe if I keep pounding this pavement, I'll look back and go, wow, I really knew nothing back then. Because you say philosophy is the idea of working out something in your head. Wow, how long is that supposed to take?
Well, I don't think it ends because, I mean, every answer just opens a new vista of questions. It ends, I think that, okay, if there's a point to meditation and this kind of philosophy, it's to get to a point where you stop asking questions. Like, meditate until you realize you don't need to meditate anymore.
It actually just dawned on me, and this is like something I've been struggling accepting, is that the only reason why I'm so heavily examining these things now is because for the first time in my life, I had to question my mortality and whether or not I was going to be left alive long enough to keep having these thoughts. And once I started to recover and heal, I asked myself, well, now I know that the rest of my life has an expiration date, which is ridiculous that it took so long. But I asked myself, well, if that is the truth, then what matters most to me? And that is why I'm engaging in this and asking about the narrowing of the truth, because I may or may not have all the time in the world to solve these problems for myself. And that is why I said, I think it's important for people to learn how to narrow their focus instead of getting bogged down in a bunch of questions that don't actually mean much. What is the truth that you're actually trying to solve?
What would you do if in a year you got diagnosed with something and you had like a month to live, and you'd spent the majority of your energy discontent searching for the past year, searching for answers to a question that you didn't even have enough time left to solve? Would you continue searching for this answer, or would you just enjoy your last month without worrying about what the answers are anymore?
It's so hard for me to answer, because if you were to ask me prior to November, how would I react and what would my life look like if I got diagnosed with cancer? I could give you a bunch of hypotheticals, but the reality is that what took place in November and everything that's transpired till now is not what I would have done, said, or thought people would have reacted to or been supportive of. So I get what you're saying, but I try not to think like that, because I now know enough to know that I don't know nothing, but I know enough to know that things change so rapidly and so quickly that if I found out a year from now I had a day to live, I really don't know I don't know what I would do. And I don't know if my brain would be able to go, okay, Joe, that means let go now. You've reached nirvana. You have pure enlightenment. Enjoy the rest of what's left of your life.
So that's
Hard that.
what you're talking about is what scares me the most is being told you have a day, or being told you have 12 hours and not being ready. It's almost like, I would say, like, this is just me. Like, I want to be okay with dying before I die. You know, I would say a big part of my process is that. Learning how to die now, so when it does happen, I don't want to be scared. I don't want to be in pain, you know? So it's like anything I can do to help facilitate the transition, I want to pursue. And that's why all the spiritual, esoteric, yogic, experiential practices.
I'll tell you, I would be, if I found out I had a day to live, I'd, I would be, the disappointment would be that I spent so much time alone thinking and not with Tracy. That I spent time trying to figure shit out and hadn't spent that time just enjoying my family. That's the tragedy. That's the loss.
So why don't you do it now then?
Well, that's
I mean,
where I'm
again,
at.
rhetorically,
No, this is what me and Adam are doing right now. I'm hanging out with that. Like I enjoy this. Like this, I'm enjoying doing this, and um, it's not really about finding anything, but I do because. And the other answer to that question is, it depends. Sometimes I get lost, or I'm pulled into this kind of process where there's just a seeking and a finding. And
underneath it all, there's no ability to consciously decide anything at all anyway. Which is why I think, Joe, when you were saying, like, when you finally did get the news, what you thought would happen is not what actually happened. That's in my experience, that's always been the truth. I never actually know. Like, I can't answer that question. You don't know until you're the one having it or going through it. You can never really know. But ultimately, through meditation, through examining these concepts and testing experience for yourself, like you'll start to see that there's no will and there's no choice in anything that happens anyway. So you can kind of die to yourself before death occurs. And there's also another, I can't remember who said this, but you're already dead. Like we're already like I'm 38 as well. I'm going to be 88 in a blink of an eye. I'm going to be 108 in a blink of an eye, and I'll be closing my eyes for the last time. That's already happened. Well, I'm going to get there and go like, oh, wow, I was just talking to Joe and Reed. Like, how did I get here now?
Sure. I mean, yeah, 2 decades ago feels sometimes like a week ago. Other times it feels like it never happened, but yeah.
It's still going to be this seeing, this consciousness that's present. And then here's the thing that's really started to blow my mind is when I start to recognize, like, when Adam dies, that consciousness continues on through Eli, Melissa, you, Reed. So who I really am actually doesn't die. And like when I heard teachers or yogic masters say that, I was like, I can't. No, because they've actually never faced death. They don't actually know. Like they're saying that, but like wait until you're actually dying and see how that concept's going to work for you, how it's going to make you feel like. But there's some through examination and like looking at it and playing around with it, I don't think it's entirely wrong.
I mean, isn't that the point of like philosophy and theology, is that you are tapping into some sort of permanent truth? And that's why some of these things feel so powerful to people, is because when they hear it, they're tapping into something that is ancestral, something that is divine, something that could be potentially inert inside of us.
I think in a lot of ways, philosophy and theology are ways of avoiding tapping into that and staying as a mind trying to solve everything. I think it can point to that, but
that's the jujitsu. You have to
like,
why dinosaurs existed to understand why God exists or something.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's the lucky individual or the fortunate individual who like hears some kind of philosophy or theology and it's able to point them directly. The thing is, if you discovered this, you'd lose interest in talking about this, but then maybe you'd regain interest in talking about, like, I like talking about it with Adam because I don't take it seriously anymore. I don't think I'm going to actually work out or there's something I'm going to find. If I got to, like, I'll watch a Krishnamurti video because, I don't know why, I just did the other day, but I used to watch the videos all the time trying to get something from it. But I just don't, I'm not going to find anything through talking about it. Like I said, I think the point of thinking about, if there's a point to thinking, it's to get to a point where you don't need to think you don't think anymore. I mean, it's like it's like exhausting itself or something. Like I'm not looking to any idea, concept, or external circumstance.
What were you trying to find when you were watching Krishnamurti videos?
Wanted to feel better, and then some guru bullshit dude said something about enlightenment, or somebody did, or someone said it's something about no self, or like there's all these concepts, or like freedom, like happy, like you'll be happy if you realize this or that. Like I heard all these terms that sounded way better than what I was currently feeling or doing, and I was like, well, I want to. So apparently, I gotta. These teachers have it. These books have it. These concepts are related. This practice, this meditation, it all seems to be related somehow. And then I started getting some kind of results or like insights or experiences and stuff that seemed to be related to these kind of practices and ideas. And those were those were preferable to whatever I was had been experiencing prior. But it was just, I was unhappy because of reliance on external things and circumstances and like a seeking to get out of where I was. And then that just transformed into a spiritual version. So now I'm seeking an insight. I'm seeking a result from meditation. I'm waiting for Krishnamurti to say the right thing to really make the bottom fall out of the bucket or whatever.
Could that be similar to how Adam was describing hitting a metaphorical wall and enjoying that friction? Because once you hit that wall, the bottom falls out, and you sort of, as he said, you open up a lane to another way of thinking, which is just ad infinitum. It just keeps going. You keep opening up lanes and lanes, and then you're on a 800 lane highway heading down to the cosmic unknown. But is that what you're implying? Like, there's this level of unknowingness that when you do know it, it's kind of exciting because it opens up a new level of unknowingness, rather than if I just gave you everything all at once, you just go, okay, I guess I'll get into model airplanes now.
It's like, that's enlightenment. You can finally fucking enjoy your model airplanes. I'm not kidding either. It's like you can stop thinking about this bullshit and just go build some models. For me, it's like it's not introducing a new exciting vista of thought or anything. It's like more of like to the ego, it feels like a disappointment because I don't do anything and I don't get to get anything. And then in that I find what I was, it's like that's what I really want. That's not what the ego wants. The ego doesn't want presence. It doesn't want peace. It wants money. It wants the future.
Money.
It wants the future and the past.
Everything it can get its hands.
But it wants ideas because it's an idea itself and it doesn't have hands to grab anything. So like it can grab onto ideas, but that's why it's never satisfied, because an idea is not of substance. But it can't have this pen. It can have the idea of holding this pen. But so
I think this shows what happens when someone like me is shadow boxing in an apartment for 20 years and never really exercising with other people, which is that I also am not interested in arguing with people. I don't want to do that. But it's clear that like you have to have these conversations in order to have a better understanding. No amount of me listening to Alan Watts on repeat is going to actually give me a better perspective than talking to people who are here now exploring what I'm exploring. Even though Alan Watts does say some pretty powerful stuff.
I completely agree with that. Like it can't be done alone. It has to be done in relationship. Well, for me at least. Other people have different ways, but I feel the same way.
Kudos to them who can do that on their own. Like they are stronger willed than I will ever be.
I think that honestly, though, I don't think do you think about Franz Kafka? And do you think about who's the other author, the guy that wrote Confederacy of Dunces? Like these people died sad, Tesla, sad, alone, miserable, but because they
Mhm.
isolated themselves with their thoughts to crack the code of reality or express some deeper level of truth. Like, I don't know if it can be done alone, or it should be.
Well, that's that whole idea of like you can't really achieve something without sacrifice. You can't casually, play World of Warcraft. I mean, I guess you can, but
But think about that. Think about what like they were trying to achieve. Like they were trying to achieve truth, but what Reed was referencing earlier, the thing that's doing the trying is the thing that needs to die.
Well, the thing that's doing the trying is irrelevant to the whole thing.
it's irrelevant, but you also can't let it die until you examine it, which does make it relevant. It's that whole like observation thing. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Like you got to ego, but you have to first acknowledge the ego before you can actually kill it.
no, I think it's more like believing that the thing that's seeking and what it needs matters at all is kind of
Sure.
the bind in the first place. The ego doesn't need to be destroyed. It's not, it just nothing needs to. It doesn't need to be addressed in any way. It's
Like
like
the one of this will make me feel complete if I have this, if I, you know,
that whole system. The idea this will make me feel complete. The me that's not complete. The me that wants to find what's going to make me complete. That's all part of the same package that can actually be set aside, but we think that's us. But really, it's just kind of some background headless programming running that just refers to
Sure.
itself with the label I or me. It's like it's like ChatGPT. It can say I and me,
Sure.
but there's not an entity behind it. It's a program responding that uses self-referential language. That does not mean there's actually an entity that ChatGPT is. That's our mind. That's us. We're an AI model that uses self-referential language. There's not.
Who just happens to suffer from like object permanence because we're allowed to acknowledge that we exist, and whereas ChatGPT just doesn't know anything until it has an input. It's bizarre. That's what I meant about the.
We are trapped in a loop because we are our own input. Like that system produces thoughts that are input into the system, and so like it takes in its own output, and that's why it gets so wonky, so out of touch with reality, because it's responding to itself rather than actual direct information. So it's responding to an idea about reality, not reality. And then it's responding to its now corrupted idea of reality, not reality. And then belief systems get born out of that, tacked on, and now you can see it. And it's in varying degrees. Some people's system isn't that out of alignment with reality. Some people, it's greatly out of alignment. They need medication, mental institutions, whatever. And then a lot of people like me fall in the middle where like the beliefs are out of whack, but not so much that I can't function normally day to day, but it creates enough internal friction that they're suffering. So it's like there's an idea of how things should be, but that idea is different from how things are, which is absurd, but that's how it is. And the idea that things should be X, but things are actually Y is the suffering. If I thought things should be the way they exactly are, there would be no suffering.
Maybe.
But there would be no. I think suffering is resistance and friction.
Yes.
If I thought, like when I'm sad and I can just be sad, there's no suffering. But it's when I'm sad and I don't want to be sad, now you're fucked up.
Yeah. The days that I have sad,
Yeah.
I really wanted to be sad, and it felt good to be sad.
Yes.
But then the days that something happens and I definitely don't want to be sad, it's almost like I'm dragging a ball and chain with me everywhere I go.
Yeah. And so the reality is, yeah, we can't make the sadness go away, but we can, maybe we can just enjoy it. But I don't think I can't really control what the mind does, because that's like the mind doing that. The mind produces sadness, and then it produces the idea I don't want to be sad. But in either case, that's arising on its own. I didn't do either one.
This is what I meant, though, with that jujitsu. It's like there's so much that you have to understand before you can even begin to address the things that you want to address.
Yeah, well, I think it all comes back to kind of like that same focus point you're talking about, which is kind of exposing the idea that that there's some fundamental ideas that need to be exposed. Like I'm the one making myself suffer. Like you're talking about blaming yourself. Well, I mean, it's belief systems inside you that are grinding against each other. You're not doing it. I mean, we don't like to admit that we're like victims in that sense, but like when I encounter something that causes anger or anxiety, it's not me choosing those reactions. There's a belief about what this thing means that's grinding against reality, producing these feelings that I don't like. I'm not it's like that's the great relief. It's not my fault. I'm not doing it. I'm not a bad person because I got angry. That's a language convent. I got angry. No, I didn't go pick an emotion off the shelf. Like there's not an event and then I'm going to choose sadness, anger, fear, indifference. No, something chooses for me, a belief system, what that reaction is going to be. And then the power of that emotion has the ability to physically compel me to act. So it's like, it's turtles all the way down. Like it's in some ways we're a victim all the way down, but we're not the one that's a victim of that either. Because the one that says I don't want to be angry, that came up on its own too. That's just another belief system that I don't want to be angry. So it's like belief systems grind against reality, create a reaction, and then we have a belief system about a reaction.
Sure.
So it's like
how you're supposed to react when this happens.
So it's like if you can see that stuff, then a lot of the seriousness or self-blame drops on its own. And I think that's what can be revealed or pointed to by these kind of discussions. It's like kind of sit with that, let that inside, chew on that a little bit, and then the only real freedom that's possible is freedom that comes on its own. Like you can't drop thoughts. For me, thoughts drop on their own when there's just a simple recognition that's not my thought. The opinion drops when I realize that's my mom's opinion. That's like, I heard that growing up. And so I'm judging this person based on a standard I was taught. When I'm not interested in any of that, I don't even want the opinion. That's not. But if I try to fight it because I think it's mine and I need to change it, it sticks hard. It becomes an immovable rock. But if there's the recognition that's not mine, I lose interest. Like if your car gets scratched, I don't have it's not mine. If my car gets scratched, there's a big problem.
Sure.
There could be two cars sitting side by side. Both I see your car scratched, whatever. Like Paul Hederman talks about that. You've got money, health. He says, I'll change the meaning of these words drastically by just adding a small word in front. My money, my health. Now there's a huge fucking problem. There's $100 on the ground. It's yours. Okay, if it's mine, I got to get that. But if that that on its own can like infiltrate the mind and start dissolving some stuff. But you can look at that and you got to say, is this true? Because if it is true and it's believed, it has an effect.
What do you? Why
But
do
you
you
can,
think the world is so messed up? Me, mine, mine.
yeah.
Me, my, mine. Also, yeah. I mean, no. I mean,
But there's a lot of medicine just found in seeing that the word my doesn't belong in front of as much stuff as we think it does.
What do you mean by that?
Like my thought, my reaction, my feeling. Um,
Sure.
those or my possessions, like let's say my house. If someone tries to take this house from me, I'm gonna have a problem. But like my anxiety about possessions is greatly diminished. If I'm here temporarily, I don't have to have this house. It's not related to my well-being in any way. I've got food, shelter, clothing. Comfort is not necessary. I enjoy it while it's here, but like it's not. Resources pass between people. I'm one of many inhabitants of this house, and I'm not going to be the last. I'm just blessed with the ability to possess this hermit crab shell for the time I'm able to. But
Well,
like mine,
please interrupt me, Adam, and shut me down at this point, because I could literally go for from now until 8 o'clock when AA is. I could just go. Oh, I got to feed the kids and all that other stuff. But
oh,
I could do this all day. This,
my
I mean, that's what.
my 5 minutes.
Until I'm exhausted, I don't want to talk about it ever again. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to the gym, me, Melissa, and Eli, but then Eli didn't want to go. He had like he had a resistance session on the patio, a sit. He had like a sitting resistance and didn't want to go.
Sure.
So
sit in.
Yeah, I have a family member who deals with, I guess, what would you call it, special education children, and I have, through osmosis, learned a lot that you would have never even considered until that's part of your life, which is actually interesting because what you just said, Reed, was about being a hermit here in the house that you occupy, and you said that you don't. Can you clarify so I don't misquote you? You said you don't really need these kind of creature comforts.
Yeah, I need food, clothing, shelter. If those things are not threatened right now. What the things that get threatened
Sure.
are comfort. My guarantee of comfort. Like that I know that I can be okay without living in the lap of, essentially modern first world luxury. So like I don't have to hold on. Yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
interrupt you? Are you sure of that though?
Yeah. I did a wilderness
The
program
reason
for
is
yeah, go ahead.
you probably are stronger willed than me, and this is that part where I said, Adam, please shut me down if this is too much. Like my life prior to having cancer was very comfortable. My situation now and where I'm living and what my life looks like and the comforts that I used to have, once they were all stripped away from me, it produced a series of suffering that I just didn't think that I
Yeah.
was going to engage with anymore. Or the hypothetical scenario, I went, oh well, I'm really tough. I can handle this. It's easy to say I can handle that until you have to bury one of your beloved animals the week that you find out that you're still sick, or that you are staying in a motel at the side of a highway for $50 a night while you recover, and you have a neighbor who stays up and deep fries chicken wings till 2 o'clock in the morning. It really starts to test your mental fortitude. That's why I'm out here in my car, is because I was sick earlier and I couldn't get on, but it's just not quiet enough. There's no space, there's no room.
Yeah.
And I have actually kind of enjoyed that because it's forced me to find a way to find peace without having those kind of comforts that you're talking about. But
Yes.
as you mentioned last week, and I said it in the chat, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs really do dictate that these sort of pseudo philosophical ideas we have can only be produced once our baseline has been satisfied, which is somewhere to eat, and somewhere to sleep.
Yeah.
And as
Yeah.
you mentioned, people's lives are different. So the struggle of sleeping or maintaining, let's just say, the ability to live in this country. I have an individual who, let's just say, may or may not be technically allowed to be here. And every single day, their life is far more stressful than I ever could. Because anytime a cop drives down here or an unmarked vehicle, they have to imagine that their whole life is about to be taken over.
Right.
And that's what I think about, because I'm living right next door to it.
Well, so, yeah, our life expands to include things. So we're talking about putting that word my in front of a stuff. We put the word my in front of stuff we don't actually have control over. And that creates a big problem, because my house, the government can take my house tomorrow.
Yeah, there's nothing you could do.
Right. So that's why, like, if my includes anything that doesn't truly belong to us, it's going to get threatened at some point. And that's the suffering. But like, if my
Okay.
peace is not dependent on external circumstances, and like, I'm not saying I'm not going to have a reaction if someone threatens anything in this room or whatever, but like, the extent and the depth and the duration of that response, like, there's people that'll hold on, like, someone could steal your wallet and you hold on to it for 10 years. I guarantee you, if someone stole my wallet, I am going to be inconvenienced because I need to get like a new ID and stuff and cancel some cards. So my time gets taken up by some stuff I didn't want to do, but that's it.
So it's the introduction of my that causes the suffering.
I think that's part of it.
But it's not really the my, it's the association you're putting to the my.
It's the attachment to it. So like,
not the actual my, it's the attachment.
My is
Hold on. Wait. Hold the thought. I'm listening, but I'm trying to take care of it. But the final level of this that Reed's describing. Sorry, I just ran over here from the kitchen. The final level of this is Jesus on the cross, looking up to the sky, saying, "God, why have you forsaken me?" The last thing to go is the body. So non-attachment is the message. But one cannot become non-attached to one's body until you're on the cross, staring at the sky, wondering, why have you forsaken me? Continue.
I have heard you mention that Peter talked about being a Christian. I don't think that I've ever actually asked what your religion is. Neither you read it. Are you comfortable enough talking about that?
Yeah, you know what I realized? My religion is Christianity simply because I am a white Western male and I was raised in 21st century America. That is my conditioning, that is my psychology, and that's simply my religion. Whether or not I practice it or give as much thought or belief is irrelevant, because that is baked in to this brain. And worshiping at a Hindu temple is not going to make sense the same way it means as going to a church. I might enjoy it more, but like the fundamental ideas that have been programmed into me are about the God, or about the Christian God. And you can move past that or let go, but like, as far as conditioning goes, that's my religion. I go to the church in town. I don't go to the Buddhist temple. Actually, I don't like going to Buddhist or Zen temples because it's always disappointing to me, because there's a lack of free people there. It's just like no different from going to a church. At least church people aren't seeking something that doesn't exist in that way. It's like they're just going to church. People aren't just going to the Buddhist. They're going there to get something, to find something. There's all this like, not universally, but there tends to be this like weird level of confusion and baggage. Like I enjoy going, but I don't enjoy the people as much as I do at the Episcopal Church down the street. It's the funniest thing. We have great discussions in the morning over there.
I take it you've been to an ashram before, and you've taken part in what I sometimes constitute as like the calamity of the ritual.
Calamity.
Bringing in bananas and drinking saffron water, and it's overwhelming for sure.
It's
Yeah,
funny.
I'm into all that stuff now. At the time when I was trying to find people that could communicate the way we are right now. Like for a long time, I had all these thoughts and these experiences and these feelings, but no one to connect with about it. I would try to share at meetings and stuff, and people thought I was crazy. So I would go to all the ashrams and the temples, and I just yeah,
you thought you'd find it there.
Well, this is the subject matter that is of most interest to me, but all those places are hierarchical, just like any other system of organization regarding human beings. So I couldn't find an actual free discourse or free thought or free exploration or self-discovery. None of that stuff actually occurred in any of these spaces. Synagogues, temples, ashrams. Just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's what Manfred, we have a friend, it's Joe, right?
Yeah.
We had a friend from this non-dual group named Manfred who was with Osho for like 12 years. And one day he just woke up and left. He just realized like, oh my gosh, like this is not what it is I actually am or am interested in, and just left the whole thing.
Isn't that what you just said on that guy? You said, what was it? It was in a short, he only had ever met anyone that had ever reached enlightenment, and he seemed genuinely confused.
Yes. Once
you get there, you go, the Woody Allen thing, like, I don't want to be a part of this club if you want me to be a part of it now. Like, this is too much.
Yeah, that was Dharma Dan from Australia.
Yeah, so yeah, in a way it's like a Buddhist temple would be the last place you would meet someone with a deep understanding, because if you had a deep understanding, you wouldn't feel it necessary to go anymore unless you just genuinely enjoyed the atmosphere. Like I want to go to one just because like I kind of like the vibe, although in a way it's like a fake vibe, so like I don't know. I want it to be good, and it's just not, and it's, man. But I want to log off, y'all. That's my limit, an hour and a half.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys even going longer than you normally do just for the conversation.
Yes, sir.
Definitely that I need to exercise this muscle quite more than I thought. Like I said, when you shadow box for years, you think you got a bunch of good ideas, but maybe you don't. You got to metaphorically clash with somebody.
That's true. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to get my day started then.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna play Mech Warrior 5.
Okay, so I was wondering if you were teasing that in the background to let people know what you liked, or if that's what you're doing the second you hang up.
It's the monitor's back there for a purpose, but yeah, I just moved the screen back there because I'm like, I guess it's fun to have flavor in the background for people. But like, yeah, I actually, for some reason, I feel proud that I like Mech Warrior. Like, that's a game I'm proud of.
Nerds used to
So it's
mean
great.
something. I'm telling you. When we were first gaming back in the early 90s, being a computer gamer meant something. Now it's who knows. But I just was told that my mic was muted, so Iona Tune, Bird, what I said that you guys missed was I'd like to invite you guys to come on as well if you want to join next week. Just shoot me a message on Discord or wherever you're
I heard
finding me.
that.
What?
I heard it when you said that.
I know, but
Yeah.
I've got the OBS and I muted myself.
Oh, okay.
Like when I was jumping back and forth and everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had my OBS set up this morning, and then of course like the webcam crashed, and then Windows blocked it, and I was like, okay, forget this.
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna do it. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you need with OBS, I've unfortunately spent way too much time figuring that out over the years.
Yeah. I spent this week trying to film stuff and then basically troubleshooting. Like I was surprised like how I'm trying to like film music at the same or record music at the same time, and anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, quick, if you have one day left on this earth, you better be uploading that music to SoundCloud or whatever. I want to hear your music.
It's on SoundCloud now. I just yeah, sure. I'll give you the SoundCloud link.
I want to see
If you have one day, maybe you'll upload it to SoundCloud.
No, it's on
That's the deal.
SoundCloud. I just wasn't it's like I'm in this experimental new phase where I've got this analog equipment. So like I'm making music a totally different way. And so since it was kind of experimental, I was like, yeah, I'm not really putting it out there, but I'll share the link.
Yeah, we could talk about that all day. Like, are you live mixing it when you're doing analog? Are you trying to? I could, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into
it. Drummer, pianist. So I love talking about music.
Yeah, we can dive into that too.
Okay, until next week, gentlemen.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much. You
Thank
guys
y'all.
be well.
You too.